It's the final home game of the 2017 season for the number 24 Mountaineers. West Virginia hosting Texas at noon on Saturday. Hello, everyone. Anjelica, Trinone, and Ryan Decker here with you for this week's game preview. And after this one, well, we've only got one game left here in the regular season. Before we get into that matchup against the Longhorns this weekend, let's first look back at WVU's win in Manhattan, Kansas. The first time since joining the Big 12, West Virginia was able to come away with a win at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. And if you're looking in terms of the first half, a great offensive output there. Will Greer, 372 yards on the night, 4 touchdowns. And then David Sills added to his touchdown total. He's now got 18 touchdowns. That leads the nation. Some big plays as well for Karan White and Gary Jennings. Justin Crawford got back on track in the run game as well. And earlier in the week for our taping of the Dana Holgorsen Show, Coach had said, it has turned out to be that Gary Jennings is their third down guy, Karan White is the big play guy, and David Sills is now the touchdown guy. Yeah. So that's how it went in the first half, but for the second straight week, WVU didn't put up any points in the second half. Yes,
like you just said, second straight week without putting up any points there after halftime, and you wonder what it is with this team. You know, thinking back to last year, it was very well known that the Mountaineers had to start fast if they wanted to be good offensively for the entire game. It almost seems like in games this year, when this year's team starts fast, they can't get off to a good start in the second half. So maybe they got to start off slow in the first to kind of build momentum the rest of the way. But kind of like you said, you know, a lot of big plays there in the first half against Kansas State. 6 plays of 15 or more yards in the first half. Only 3 such plays the rest of the game.
Yeah, and it really makes you think, too, if they can play that good for the first 2 quarters, I mean, what this offense would look like if they could put together a full performance as well. And after the game, you know, we had asked some of the guys about that, and they had said, you know, that they're really trying their best, but they had think that, you know, this offense is not playing to its potential, you know, for a full 4 quarters. And that's the emphasis this week, as Coach Holgorsen wants to see it more efficient on the offensive side. Now, defensively, for the second straight week, they came up with some big stops there in the second half. Ezekiel Rose had an interception. So did Kenny Robinson. And after that game, defensive coordinator Tony Gibson said right now he believes that his defense is playing with the highest level of confidence than they've had all season.
And I think they should. You know, you look at the last couple of weeks, they stopped a pretty decent Iowa State offense, held them just 16 points, and then last week you hold a Kansas State offense to under their season averages in both passing yards and rushing yards, and that's when you factor in as well not knowing who you're going to be playing as far as the quarterback goes with Kansas State. You didn't know if it was going to be Delton or not, so that's a pretty tall task to have to answer, and you got the same thing again this week. You know, you don't know if you're going to be facing Shane Buechele or Sam Ehlinger, so it's a tall task for the WVU defense, but so far they've been kind of building momentum up to this point.
Yeah, and speaking of that, having to face the 2 quarterbacks, last week going up against Kansas State, Coach Gibson had said all 3 of the quarterbacks at least were, you know, you knew what they were going to do. They're good at the same things. But in this case here going up against Texas, these are 2 different guys that can hurt you in different ways with this offense.
Yeah, it is definitely. Buechele is more of a better passing quarterback. He's got the better completion percentage. Ehlinger is a real interesting case because he's a decent passer for sure. That's why he's at Texas. But he's a very good runner too. Offensively, Texas has just 300-yard rushing performances this season. Ehlinger has 2 of those.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking of that, of rushing for Texas, haven't been so great getting off there at the ground game. But if you look defensively for West Virginia, the Mountaineers haven't been the best at stopping the run game either so far this season. But for Texas, they'll be getting back left tackle Connor Williams, so that should be, you know, a key player for them. And also whenever it comes to quarterbacks as well, he's going to be a big help in protecting the quarterbacks.
Yeah, you look back at earlier this year when he was in the lineup, the first 3 games where he started, Texas had 2 of their top 3 passing performances of the year in those 2 of those 3 games. So yeah, he's definitely big for passing. But you look at their running game 2 weeks ago against TCU, held to just 9 yards as a team rushing. You've got to improve on that if you're Texas.
Yeah, and defensively, Coach Holgorsen had said that he believes that this is, you know, one of the toughest defenses that West Virginia is going to face this season. But if you looked back at last week's game, this defense allowed 27 points up against Kansas, the last team there in the conference, but I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that it's going to be another tough test going up against Will Greer and what the receivers and what the running game has been able to do, especially whenever you're talking about the Texas secondary as well.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the secondary hasn't been great this year. Passing defense, they've been kind of up and down at times this year. Overall, I think they're the second best pass defense this year in the Big 12, but they have been up and down, and it's to the Big 12 as well. So second best is still maybe not the best in the country by any means, but, you know, I kind of think back to what Jake Spavital said on Tuesday, where where the hardest thing to game plan for in this Texas defense is how much they blitz and how often they blitz, and sometimes that can ebb and flow. With Todd Orlando, Spavital called it the flavor of the week with the blitzing. Sometimes it's 90% blitzes. Sometimes it's 50-50 blitz, drop back. Other weeks you barely see blitz at all. That's what's tough about this Texas defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be another all-around challenge for West Virginia, like Coach Holgorsen said. Once again, in this weekend, it's going to be the final game at Milan Puskar Stadium, not only for this season for the Mountaineers, but for 20 of the seniors, as it will be senior day. And when you just look back over what this senior class has been able to accomplish, some names that just jump out off the paper at you, of course, Elijah Wellman. He's been a big contributor to this WVU offense over the past 5 years. And then, of course, defensively, you've got Al-Rashid Benton, and like Coach Holgorsen said, it's going to be the end of the white era at WVU as well. So certainly going to be some guys that, we will be missing in the next couple seasons, but certainly a lot of guys who've made a big impact for this team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just think about the White brothers right there. Kaiser and Karan, Karan obviously offensively has been big this year, especially the last couple games. 4 out of the last 6, he's went over 100 yards receiving, and then Kaiser has been one of the staples of this defense. And then the two others that you named, Al-Rashid Benton, he's been huge defensively all year for West Virginia, and Elijah Wellman. I mean, even though the production, he doesn't kind of come up on the stat sheet, what he does for this offense is going to be hard to replace.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Al and Elijah, just two team leaders on and off the field here for this program as well. But like Coach Holgorsen joked earlier in the week, he said, I've been in contact with Kaiser and Karan's dad, and he said, hey, don't worry, maybe we'll have some cousins coming up here, continue the White family legacy. So West Virginia on senior day in the final home game of the season coming up against Texas at noon. And we hope that you will join us for the Dana Holgorsen Show. Defensive coordinator Tony Gibson stops by in the Wolf's Den this week. And then, of course, starting at 10 a.m., we will keep you covered on Mountaineer Game Day. The show is only 1 hour this week, and it will air on your local Next Star station from 10 to 11, so we hope that you will join us for that. For Ryan Decker, I'm Anjelica Trinone. Thanks for watching.